Hello, hello, and welcome, Yana or Jana. It's great to have you here, and to those who may be watching the recording, welcome. Glad you can make it for this webinar on navigating your career journey. We will get started in just a bit, and we are glad that you're here. If you have any questions that you'd like to ask, you can put them in the Q&A box at the bottom of the screen, and I'll be happy to answer them. Or you can put it in the chat as well, since I think we're going to have a pretty intimate group. And may I ask, are you able to share in the chat, are you a parent or are you a student at the school, at Smart Village Schools? Let's see. Okay, well, we'll go ahead and get started here. So welcome. Here's a brief overview of what we'll cover today. I'll do a welcome and introduction of myself. And again, so I'm sorry, are you a parent or are you a student at the school? Are you able to share in the chat, Yana or Jana? A student, wonderful. Okay, great. So that's good. That'll be helpful. I'll can customize this. And do you have, well, we'll get started in just a moment. So what I'll talk about understanding yourself, exploring different career options, how to choose a career path. I'll give you a little overview of Nexford University, and then we'll have a Q&A. However, since it's such an intimate group, if you have any questions throughout, please just let me know and put it in the chat or in the Q&A box, and I'll be happy to answer. So first, greetings. My name is Jennifer Bangoura, and I'm Nexford University's Director of Career Innovation. My background is in higher education, online learning, and career development. So I've been working past decade with career centers and directly career coaching in Iraq, Morocco, the United States, where I'm originally from. And currently I work from Malawi in Southern Africa, supporting our Nexford learners and alumni to ensure that they have the tools and skills they need to pivot and promote in their career. I also, get excited working with students who are maybe more in the high school space, who are still exploring career options after secondary, as related to your career, your college or university choice, and how you choose either a major or the technical vocational route that you want to go on. So this quote, when I was thinking about, navigating your career, I think of transportation, I think of movement, and I saw this quote, if one tries to navigate unknown waters, one runs the risk of shipwreck. So you are a student, or you may be watching and maybe you're a parent of a student, and when we are navigating what that next step looks like after high school, secondary school, there's a lot to consider. It's not just choosing a major and then crossing our fingers and hoping for the best. There needs to be a lot of intention about what you're choosing to study, because of course you want that to turn into meaningful employment that's going to support you and or your family, right? And that's a big decision for a lot of people. But if we don't know where we're going, or if we just jump into the unknown, you do run a chance of running into problems, right? So that's why when you are thinking about what next after secondary school, it's really great to take the time and think, how do my choices, what really gets me excited, or what is possible? So you have this intersection of your interests and then the reality of the labor market where you are, or global opportunities that you can access from where you're living, if that's in Egypt. So somewhere I really like to start, I've talked now, I've introduced myself. Now we'll talk about understanding yourself and how this intersects with your career choices and why that's important. So to understand your values, you really need to first know what they are. So this is an assessment, and I have linked it here in the presentation that you'll get a copy of. And these exercises, this is an online test that helps you understand what is it that's important to me, and then how would that directly align with career choices that I can make. So values are, can simply be described as things that are really important to you. For example, family, health, security, freedom, trust. So you could say that these are the themes of our lives, and they're always present with us, although we don't always have to be aware of them. But they've led you to where you are today. For example, a value that your family might have is high quality education, and that's why you're at Smart Village schools, and that's why you're being thoughtful about what happens next when you graduate, right? So these values, they shape who you are as a human being and determine how you're perceived by others. So we can also interpret values as goals that we want to achieve in a long term, and they can change over time because they depend on our current stage of life. So different values are attractive to young people just entering adulthood than they are from someone who might be later stage. And an example that we give here is thinking about, a younger person might want a fast, cool looking car, and someone who's older might value a car that's safe and reliable if their family is getting into it, right? So you think about that in the context of how your values might shift now as a student and over time as you advance and progress in your life and career. So I would encourage you, and I will share the link to this in the follow-up. When you are understanding yourself, you're going to have a better idea of maybe how you would fit in different career opportunities and job roles. But really, it's hard to do when you maybe don't know what they are. So I have this simple, I don't know, what would you call it here, table, where as you're looking out now about finishing school and thinking, what next for me, I would encourage you to really think, what are 5 different jobs that I know of that sound interesting to me? Or what are different industries that I'm curious about? Or maybe there are specific companies, or maybe there are people that you admire who have work that seems interesting or exciting or aligned with your values, right? This takes time. And there are a lot of high school students or people who are in secondary school who maybe don't think about this at all, or think that it's going to be decided for them. And that sometimes is the case. But what I would encourage you to do is to take a notebook, or you can do it on a spreadsheet, and create something like this for yourself, and brainstorm. Maybe you're going to spend an hour, maybe a couple hours, maybe over a weekend, where you could sit and think, what's a job that I've heard about, and let me write down the name of that job. Try and think of 5. And what about industries? Maybe that could mean, pharmaceutical, automotive, aerospace. What are different industries that you know of? If you don't know what industries are possible, you can Google a list of industries, right? And I'll show you in another slide ways to do some exploration specifically in Egypt. And then companies. What are some companies that you've heard of that are maybe popular, that are based in the city where you live, or that are nearby, and that seem like places that you'd be curious to learn more about? And then again, people. Maybe these are family, maybe they're friends, maybe they're parents of friends. What comes to mind when you think of somebody who is doing work, again, that they seem excited about or that they are proud to be doing? Why that's important is because you can learn a lot, but if we don't write it down, we might forget to have a conversation with that person, or to ask them questions to learn more about what they do. But when you really spend time zooming in on this information, you can start to understand yourself better. And again, how those values that you have articulated from taking that values assessment align with the type of work that maybe you're interested in and curious about. And then from the progression of, yourself to the work, then that moves to, once you understand what career opportunities you could be interested in, then that would lead to, okay, now I know maybe what type of education I need to pursue so that I can get a job that that again aligns with my values and interests and the reality of the job market where you are, right? So when you're exploring different career options, we at Nexford University spend a lot of time thinking about education and, of course, how that education really and truly prepares people for the future and the now of work. And from our research, we have found that these four fields, these four industries, are ones that are experiencing rapid growth now and in the near-term future. And they can be good areas to explore and to build your skill set in, to be competitive for jobs that are going to be coming on the market as you are entering the workforce. So financial management, entrepreneurship, certainly artificial intelligence, and digital marketing. And a shift that we see in the job market is no longer that people are being an expert in only one thing, but rather you need to have like you'd imagine the branches on a tree, experience a variety of different areas so that you can bring that all together in your work to be a well-rounded employee. So these are just some areas that you could consider exploring, career options in. And then a really rich research tool when you're exploring career options, now we've talked about understanding yourself in the context of your career. Now we're talking about exploring career options, is LinkedIn. So I don't know if you have a LinkedIn account yet. If you don't, you can create one. And you can also, use this link. I don't think you have to have an account to access it. But if you're feeling a little bit stuck again on, I don't know what industries I'm curious about, or companies even, I'm not even sure. There is a list that LinkedIn, which is a professional networking site that over 930 million people are on globally, where they have, the top companies from 2023 and the best places to grow your career in Egypt. This is a place that I work with you, or whoever's watching this, as a parent or a student, where I would want to start with looking at what are these companies? What industries are they in? What job opportunities are available now? And then from LinkedIn, you can actually see who works at these companies if they have a LinkedIn profile, which these top 15 companies have thousands of people who are connected to them. And that becomes, a way to guide your research when it can feel overwhelming and out of your control. Lists like this can help you hone in on what possibilities are out there. So I'd love to know, Yana, if again, I hope I'm saying your name correctly. How have people that how have they their career paths and work well from your perspective, and what hasn't worked well? Are you able to share in the chat? Or is there someone that comes to mind in your life? You could just share, like my uncle or my aunt, someone that you know, how have they chosen their career path? And in some places, government exams is what dictates or determines where you go in your career path. How you grade on a certain test is what determines the education that you pursue. So that's a reality as well. And sometimes it works well. Some people pursue that path and they enjoy it. Other times it turns out it's not as good a fit with either their personality, the work environment that they prefer or that they thrive in. And sometimes, of course, that can be a luxury to even consider of, how my work environment intersects with my personality and who I am. But it is something to consider and just to even be aware of, even if there's not necessarily always something we can do about it. There's ways that we can mitigate or try to help have a improved work experience. Okay. So we've talked about understanding yourself, exploring career options. So now, how do you choose a career path? There's three common ways that people will consider choosing their career path or helping shape that path: your education, your exposure, and your experience. So obviously, education is important to us at Nexford University. And at the same time, so is exposure. We want to expose our learners to how you can take your education and really directly apply it in the workplace. And then that's also coupled with experience. So practical experience, that means working on projects that are relevant to your career and are helping you build skills that you can use in the workplace, is critical. But also, if you're able to have apprenticeships or internships outside of your formal education, that always contributes to your knowledge, skills, and abilities, which are other ways that can help you, choose that career path. So these are three different ways: this education, exposure, and experience, that are going to help shape the decisions that you make. You might take a certain course in digital marketing or financial management or entrepreneurship and think, wow, I feel really called to this industry or this, type of work. And you learn about it from your education, right? And then the exposure part is we do have integrated within our curriculum, practical virtual work experiences through this platform Forage, or webinars with topical experts. That's the exposure piece. And then the experience is, seeking out opportunities to actually implement the education and exposure that you've had. Again, if you have any questions, you can put them in the Q&A or the chat. A little bit about Nexford is our mission is to enable greater social and economic mobility by providing learners access to high quality, affordable, dynamic online education that prepares them for the global workforce. So we're 100% online. We're accredited and licensed in the United States. We've had over 5,500 learners from over 100 countries. Our model is really learner-centric, future-focused, and mission-driven, which means that mission that we have here at on the top of the screen is embedded throughout all the work that we're doing. We have a stackable credential model, which I'll show you on the next slide. So you can take courses, certificates, undergraduate degrees, and also pathway programs or technical pathways and MBAs. And our programs start on the 1st of every month. So September 1st, and just, on Friday, we'll have our next cohort of learners who start October 1st, November 1st, and so on. So our learners don't have to wait until September or January or the traditional start times. So you can see here on the screen this visualization of our stack of stairs. Again, starting with those discrete courses, which take typically 4 to 6 weeks. You can move into a pathway program, which I'll showcase in the next slide, and different options that you have. Certificates that take 5 to 6 months, and then degree programs, which if you're moving into an undergraduate degree and you had no prior undergraduate credits, that would typically, we estimate, take about 3 years. And then our MBA takes generally around 18 months when learners are doing it full time. So all our programs are competency based. So you have some of those offerings here, building that problem solving and critical thinking, fundamentals of supply chain, artificial intelligence, leadership, financial management, again, cybersecurity, and so on. And we have learners and alumni who work at all of these companies all around the world. And that's the beauty, I think, of Nexford, is our global connections. So we have definitely hundreds of learners in Egypt. We also have learners all over the world. And actually, I'll make a note. We have, just filmed this wonderful video with an Egyptian learner who is now based in the US working for a construction company, and he's doing our MBA program. So we have this thread throughout, I think, of global competence, global awareness for our learners and our staff who are also based around the world. And again, here, just this Nexford difference as providing a global workforce aligned, affordable education that's powered by technology. And there's 4 core ways that we are different. First would be employability. So we really focus on skills development, having that industry alignment, and then focusing on your career growth from the beginning. So employment, affordability, we know that one of the greatest barriers to accessing higher education is cost. And so that's why we have a monthly subscription model, so that instead of having to pay for an entire term upfront or an entire year, learners are able to break it down into affordable monthly payments. And for from the courses to the undergraduate, the average cost is about $100. That might have changed a little bit, so you need to look at the website. And we do have different scholarship options that are available through Smart Village Schools as well that can explore with your leader there, Naira. Next is flexibility. This is really important to learners no matter where they are and no matter their age. So if you already are employed or you have a part-time job, you can still advance in your career and get that experience that I talked about, the education, exposure, and experience, without having to leave your job. So you can continue to grow as a learner while also adding value to your organization. I mean, you can also, maybe you have to travel for work or for family reasons. You can access course content on demand and on the go on any device, mobile, laptop, tablet, using the latest technology, because the world truly being your classroom here. Next is learner success. So this is at the heart of what we do, and our full-time faculty and success advisors help you along every step of the way. And so our credentials focus on global relevance in the workplace, which helps you visualize the skills that you're gaining as you earn your degree from a licensed and accredited university, so that you're able to see, how am I actually taking these skills that I'm learning and thinking how they're going to apply to my work in either the now or in the future. So here are, again, our pathway programs here. I'm not sure why some of my little icons don't show up on the screen, so sorry about that. But these are just some of the courses that you can take, the different pathway programs, certificates, degrees, and so on. And you'll also can look at our website, Nexford, nexford.edu, and see more of these. Oh, I see there. There they showed up. So I'm wondering, do you have any questions, or I'd love to, if you have any takeaways that you'd like to share or reflect on, I'm happy to receive them now. Then we can move to Q&A if you have any. And if you don't, thank you to everyone for your time, and to those who are watching the recording. We hope you'll be in touch, and we will be sharing a copy of this presentation, and we'll look forward to connecting with you soon. Again, my name is Jennifer Bangoura, and I'm Nexford University's Director of Career Innovation. Thank you so much for being part of our webinar, and we will look forward to being in touch.